Bhagavad Gita studies. So far we have seen 11 shlokas or 12 shlokas?
Yes, 11 slokas.
11 shlokas, yeah. So we are going to study in detail from the second chapter. For entering into that, we are briefly passing through this first chapter. But at the same time, there are many aspects which are important for us, because the psychological background and the causes for such a state. What was the real problem Arjuna faced and how Bhagavan is tackling that? So all these aspects, to be clear, we must have a clear picture of first chapter. So with that view, we are going through this first chapter. But of course, we will have a detailed discussion only from the second chapter. So here we have seen that Duryodhana, he gave a brief description of both the armies. And in the heart of heart, he knew very well that even though his army is very huge and bigger in number, Pandava's army is more efficient. That he knew well. It is very palpable from the words of Duryodhana. However, after describing both the armies and doing a comparison of both, he ordered everybody must work under or obey the orders of Bhishma. That was the subject matter of 11th shloka. Now we are entering into the 12th. See, Tasya sanjanayan harsham kuru vruddha pitamaha simhanadam vinadyochaihi shangham dadhmau pratapavan. Tasya sanjanayan harsham kuru vruddha pitamaha simhanadam vinadyochaihi shangham dadhmau pratapavan. Let us first see the words used in this shloka. Tasya sanjanayan harsham kuru vruddhaha pitamaha simhanadam vinadya uchaihi shangham dadhmau pratapavan. Tasya, for him or unto him. Sanjanayan. Sanjanayan means causing or producing. But harsham, delight. or joy. Kuru Vruddhaha, the eldest among the Kurus, or the oldest among the Kurus. Pitamaha. Pitamaha is grandfather. Simhanadam Vinadya. Simhanadam, lion's roar. Vinadya, having produced or having loudly produced. What? Uchaihi, in loud voice. Uchaihi, in loud voice. Shangham, conch. Dadhmau, blew. Pratapavan, the mighty one. So this sloka says, Tasya Sanjanayan Harsha, causing joy to him, or joy for him, making him joyful. Whom? Duryodhana. That is, Duryodhana asked everybody to obey the orders of Bhishma. That means now Duryodhana is ready for starting the battle. And that is why he is giving that order. Everybody must come forward and obey the orders of Bhishma. So hearing that, Bhishma, he in turn made Duryodhana happy, joyful. How? By blowing his conch. Blowing conch means it is showing or declaring, I am ready for the battle. I am well equipped. I am ready to start the battle. So the head of the army, the leader of the army, showing his readiness. Of course, it gives happiness to the king. That means my army is ready. It is ready for battle. And that sound of that conch, it gives faith in the members of the army. It will boost their morale. And everybody will make themselves ready for the battle. And therefore, it is said, Tasya Sanjanayan Harsham, causing or giving happiness or joy to him. To Duryodhana. Kuru Vruddhaha Pitamaha, the oldest among the Kurus. See, both Pandavas and Dhartarashtras are Kurus. Both are Kauravas. Pandavas and Dhartarashtras, both are Kauravas. And the oldest and the most respected among them is Bhishma. So here Kuru Vruddha is Bhishma. Bhishma is Kuru Vruddha, the oldest among Kurus. And here it is said Pitamaha. The word meaning of the Pitamaha is grandfather. So Bhishma cannot be called so. He is not grandfather. He never married. Then he do not have a son. So technically he is not grandfather. But at the same time, he was such a respectable person and the eldest among Kurus. And it was Bhishma who looked after both these Dhartarashtras and Pandavas. He was there with Dhritarashtra, and he looked after and made all arrangements for the studies. And it was in his hand. Rishis of Kamyaka Vanam gave the responsibility of Pandavas along with Kunti. So he was in charge of all affairs. He was giving advices, and he was the most respected one among the Kurus. And therefore, even though technically he is not Pitamaha, Bhishma is called the Pitamaha. Not only here, but in other places also. In the Mahabharata, we can see, with all respect, Bhishma is called by the name Pitamaha. This we must understand, because technically he was not a Pitamaha. He did not have children. Then how can he be a Pitamaha? But he was called so. He was considered so. He was the eldest and also the head of that clan, that dynasty. So Pitamaha, Kuruvruddhaha, Bhishmaha, and again he is said by the name Pratapavan, the mighty one. The mighty one, Pratapavan. First, he loudly roared like a lion. So he gave a lion's roar, and thereafter blew his conch. So it was the custom in those days, in battles, when one side is ready for battle, the head of that side will blow the conch. And of course, in other way also, we can see in many Shastras, instead of the head of the army, individual heads of different groups will blow their conch. And finally, the head, he will blow. So these two styles are there. Here, Bhishma, he loudly blew the conch. That means it is declaring, or it is equal to declaring, that the whole Dhartarashtra army is ready for battle. And it gave happiness or joy to Duryodhana. Tasya sanjanayan harsham. Shankham dadmau. He blew that conch. Then what happened? Tata shanghascha bheryascha panavanaka gomukhaha sahasaiva bhyahanyanta sashabdastu mulo bhavata. Tata shanghascha bheryascha panavanaka gomukhaha sahasaiva bhyahanyanta sashabdastu mulo bhavata. Tataha, thereafter, shankhaha cha. Shankhaha, it is the plural of shankhaha. Shankhaha is conch, So many conches. Bharyascha. Bharyaha is the plural of bhari. Bhari is bugle. So, or very big band. Panava Anaka Gomukhaha. Panava is drum and Anaka is kettle drum. Gomukha. I don't know the English name for Gomukha. And frankly speaking, I do not know the Malayalam of Gomukha, what it is. However, it is one equipment which produces huge sound. So, all these shankhaha, conches, bugles, drums, kettle drums, sahasa eva abhyahanyanta. Sahasa eva, all on a sudden, or suddenly, all on a sudden, abhyahanyanta. Abhyahanyanta. Where sounded? That means when Bhishma, the oldest among Kurus, declared his readiness for the battle by blowing the conch, all on a sudden, all leaders or individual leaders of different groups in the Dhartarashtra army, they started making different sounds. Some took their bugles and blew. Then some took their conches. And many members of that army, they took their drums and kettle drums. So all on a sudden, they made loud noise. Sa shabdaha, that sound, saha shabdaha, that sound, tumulaha abhavat. Abhavat became. Tumulaha, tumulaha means resounding. All that area was resounded with that knowledge, that sound. That means all on a sudden, everybody started making their voices, their noises. They made lions roar. They took their trumpets, bands, conches, whatever they had with them, started making noise. And what was the positive aspect of that? That sound resounded everywhere. The whole area was resounded with their loud noise. And at the same time, what is the negative aspect? It is we are not seeing discipline. There was no discipline at all. Because when Bhishma blew his conch, all on a sudden everybody started making noise. Sahasa eva. All on a sudden. Of course, the sound was great. It resounded everywhere. Even the whole area was shaken. But at the same time, we can see there was no discipline in the army. Then what happened? See, tata shvetairhayair yukte mahati syandane sthitau Madhava Pandavaschaiva Divyau Shanghau Pradadhmatuhu Tata Shvetairhayair Mahati Syandane Sthite Tidau Madhava Pandavaschaiva Divyau Shanghau Pradadhmatuhu. Tataha, thereafter, Shvetaihi Hayaihi Yukte Mahati Syandane. Syandanam is chariot. So Syandane means in the chariot. Mahati. Mahan means great. So Mahati means in the great. So Mahati Syandane means in the great chariot. There was a great chariot. In all respects, it was great. Not only in size, not only in its artistic beauty, but as it was occupied by Bhagavad. It was great. So in all respects, in many ways, it was great. So in the great chariot, and it was Shvetaihi Hayaihi Yukte. Shvetam means white, Hayam horse. So Shvetaihi Hayaihi Yukte, yoked with or tied with white horses. And that there was a grey chariot and it was yoked with white horses. So sitting in that grey chariot, Sthitau. Sthitau means Sthitaha, one who is occupied. Sthitau means two persons. Two persons who were occupied in that great chariot. Who were they? Madhavaha, Pandavaha, cha. Madhavaha, husband of Lakshmi. Ma is Lakshmi. Dhavaha, husband. So husband of Lakshmi, Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu. See, while studying Gita, we must keep one thing in our mind. Gita is a discourse. And it was delivered by Bhagavad. The teacher is Sri Krishna and the disciple is Arjuna. So it was a conversation in between them. So in the Gita, different names of Sri Krishna, of course, they will come. To refer Sri Krishna, we can use different names of Sri Krishna. But we must keep in mind that Vyasa Bhagavan wrote this Mahabharata. And Gita is a part of Mahabharata. So it was written by Vyasa Bhagavan. And he knew that Sri Krishna is an incarnation of Bhagavan Mahavishnu, Adi Narayana. And therefore, we can see different names of Mahavishnu used as synonyms of Sri Krishna. So in those days, nobody will call Sri Krishna by the name Madhava. No. Nobody can call Sri Krishna by the name Madhava. They will call him by Rukmani Dhava or Jambavati Dhava, like that. Never Madhava. Because Sri Krishna, in that human form, was not Madhava. But we must keep in mind that this is written by Bhagavan Veda Vyasa. And Vyasa knew that Sri Krishna is the incarnation of Vishnu. And therefore he uses different names of Vishnu to refer or to call Sri Krishna. So while we study Mahabharata, we must keep this in mind. So these names are given by Vyasa. Arjuna will never call Sri Krishna as Madhava. He will call Krishna, Krishna, or some other names like Yadava, Varshneya, like that. Vasudeva, like that. Never he will call by the name of Vishnu. But Vyasa writes all this because Vyasa knew that Krishna is an incarnation of Mahavishnu. So Madhavaha, Mahavishnu, the husband of Lakshmi, or Mayayaha Dhavaha, the master of Maya. Then the meaning would become Paramatma, Parameshwaraha. Because Shruti itself declares, Mayam tu Prakritim Vidyat, Mayinam tu Maheshwar. Maya is Prakriti. And Paramatma is keeping that Prakriti under his control. So Madhavaha is the master of Maya, means Paramatma. So Madhavaha, Pandavaha cha, and Pandava, and Pandava. Pandava is the son of Pandu. Here, it is Arjuna. Because in that great chariot, Arjuna was with Sri Krishna. So Pandavaha here means Arjuna. Madhavaha Pandavaha cha eva. Divyau Shanghau. Divyaha means divine, God-given. Divyau, such two objects. What are those objects? Shanghau. Shanghau means two conches. Shankhaha is conch and Shanghau, two conches. Pradadhumatuhu, blue. So, when all the members of Dhartarashtra army made such a loud noise and it was resounded everywhere, then Sri Krishna and Arjuna, they took their conches and blew. And that too, one after another. So Sri Krishna started that, followed by Arjuna. See? Then comes the question, what is the right Sri Krishna is having to blow the conch? Because from the Dhartarashtra side, it was Bhishma. And Bhishma is the head of that army. He was the general in charge. So it is his right and it is his duty. It is his responsibility. But here Sri Krishna is only a driver. Sri Krishna is only a driver of Arjuna. Sri Krishna was nobody in the army. Then what right Sri Krishna had to blow that conch? The reply is, in the Udyoga Parva, that is the 5th Parva of Mahabharata. This is a part of 6th Parva, that is Bhishma Parva. Bhagavad Gita comes in the 6th Parva. Before that, there is Udyoga Parva. And in the Udyoga Parva, there is elaborate description of making of both the armies. How Dhartarashtra army was made and how Pandava army was made. Everything is detailed there. So among that portion, we can see Yudhishthira, he appointed Bhima as the head of Pandava army. And in the traditional way, he did Abhisheka also. Then after that, Yudhishthira, he spoke to Arjuna. You are the savior of our army, the mighty one. So it is your duty to make us successful. And he did Abhisheka. And after that, he came and prostrated Sri Krishna and said, formal head of our army is appointed, but you are our guardian, you are our savior, you lead us. And he did Abhisheka. So even though Bhima was the head of Pandava army, Sri Krishna was actually in charge of the whole affairs. Sri Krishna was accepted as the guardian of Pandava army. And that responsibility, that duty, Sri Krishna shouldered. He accepted that. And as a token of that acceptance, here Sri Krishna started blowing the conch. This is the reply. So I am looking after your army. So we are ready for fight, he declared, by blowing his conch. And Arjuna followed. Then what happened? Panjajanyam Hrishikesho Devadattam Dhananjayah Poundram Dadhumau Mahashangham Bhima Karma Vrukodaraha Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthiraha Nakula Sahadevascha Sughoshamani Pushpakau Kashyascha Parameshwasaha Shikhandi cha Maharathaha Dhrishtadyumno Viratascha Satyakischa Parajitaha Drupado Draupadeyascha Sarvasha Prithivipate Saubhadrascha Mahabahu Shanghan Dadhmo Pradhak Pradhak Panjajanyam Hrishikesho Hrishikeshaha Hrishikeshaha Sri Krishna. Hrishikesha is Sri Krishna. Here also we have to remember that this is the name written by Bhagavan Vedavyasa. Because it is not the synonym of Sri Krishna. And of course, we can call Sri Krishna as Hrishikesha. That's another thing. What is Hrishikesha? Hrishika means our senses. Senses of knowledge, cognition. Hrishika. Ishaha means one who is controlling, the controller of one's own senses or one's own sense organs. He is Hrishikeshaha. So one who had controlled all the sense organs and thereby mind, body, everything. He is called Hrishikeshaha. Of course, Sri Krishna is Hrishikesha. And another meaning is Paramatma, who is controlling all our senses from within. Tat srishtva tadevanupravishat. Who is sitting inside and controlling all senses. He is Hrishikesha. So the meaning of Hrishikesha is Atma. That is the real meaning. And of course, that name we can use to refer to a man of fullest control, sense control, mind control. He is Hrishikesha. Hrishikesha, Sri Krishna, Panjajanyam, he blew his conch. Panjajanyam is the name of Sri Krishna's conch. He got that from Panjajana. It is the name of one asura. And that Panjajanyam is the conch of Sri Krishna. He blew that. Devadattam Dhananjayaha. That is the name of Arjuna's conch, Devadattam. Devadattam means given by Deva, God given. Devadattam, that conch, he blew. Poundram dadhmau mahashankham, mahashankham, a big conch, huge conch. What was the name? Poundram. It was the name of that conch. Bhima, Bhima karma vrikodaraha. Bhima karma vrikodaraha. Vrikodaraha Bhima. And what is his nature? His nature is, he is a Bhima karma. One who is doing frightening activities. Bhima karma. That shows his mighty nature. That Bhima blew his conch, which is called Poundram. Then Ananda Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthiraha. Then Yudhishthira, eldest of Pandavas, and he is called Kunti Putra, the son of Kunti. All are sons of Kunti, of course. But being the eldest, he is called by the name Kunti Putraha, the son of Kunti, by name Yudhishthira. And he is referred here as Raja. See, all these are narrations of Sanjaya. Sanjaya is narrating the whole incidents to Dhritarashtra. And we must see, Sanjaya is calling Yudhishthira as Raja. See? He is asking Dhritarashtra to remember this fact. Yudhishthira is the king. He must be accepted as the king. See, being a minister of Dhritarashtra, how truthfully, even at this stage, Sanjaya is saying this. Even at this stage, battle is being fought. Both are ready to fight. Even now, Sanjaya is asking Dhritarashtra to remember this plain fact. Yudhishthira is the king. You must accept him as the king. If you are accepting even at this stage, we can avoid this battle. We can avoid this battle. Even now, there is a chance to stop this battle. The only thing you have to do is accept Yudhishthira as the king. And it is a fact that he is the king. And therefore, Sanjaya says, Raja, the king. Raja Yudhishthiraha, Yudhishthiraha, the king, son of Kunti. He blew Ananda Vijayam. That is the name of his conch. Ananda Vijayam. Then Nakulaha Sahadevaha cha. Nakula and Sahadeva, they blew their conches, that Sughosha and Manipushpaka. These are the names of the conches. Sughosha is the conch of Nakula, and Manipushpaka is the name of the conch of Sahadeva. Then Kashyascha, the king of Kashi, Parameshwasaha, the king of Kashi, he was having a great bow. Parameshwasaha. Shikhandi cha Maharathaha. Shikhandi, the mighty one. Maharathaha, one who can fight and kill 10,000 warriors. Well equipped 10,000 warriors. He is called a Maharatha. So Shikhandi Maharathaha. Drishtadhyumnaha. Virataha cha, the king of Virata Rajya. Satyakihi cha, Satyakihi. He is qualified as Aparajitaha. Aparajitaha. Never failing. Never failing. Always he will have success in battles. Drupadaha, the king Drupada. Draupadeyaha cha, sons of Draupadi. 5 sons of Draupadi. Sarvashaha, in all ways. Prithivipate, O king. So Sanjaya is calling Dhritarashtra Prithivipate, O king. You are the king. And at the same time, you must accept Yudhishthira also as the king. He Prithivipate. Saubhadrascha Mahabahu. Saubhadraha, the son of Subhadra. Abhimanyu. Son of Subhadra, Abhimanyu. And he is referred to as Mahabahu. A mighty one. One with huge arms. Shanghan, Dadhumuhu, blue conches. Shanghan is the plural form. So, Dadhumuhu, how? Pradhak, one after another. Here it is said, Pradhak, one after another. How it was in the Dhartarashtra army? All on a sudden. All on a sudden. They blew all conches together. Some took their bugles, some took bands, trumpets. There was no discipline. Whereas in the Pandava army, they blew their conches one after another. That shows the discipline. Even though Pandava's army is lesser in number, there were 11 Akshauhinis in the Dhartarashtra side. Here only 7 Akshauhinis were there. So difference of 4 Akshauhinis, more than half is there. So it is lesser in number compared to Duryodhana's or Dhartarashtra's army. But at the same time, here we can see it is highly disciplined. And therefore, they blew their conches one after another. Then what happened? That we can see in our next class. So, I think today we can conclude now. Next week we can continue. Now, 9 more minutes are there. If you want to ask anything, you can ask, or otherwise we can conclude.
We can conclude Swamiji today. So
yeah, that is good. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om.